it's kind of every Monday we're not feeling it. I mean,
but that's not really true. But this Monday, I'm really like, what the fuck am I doing?
Well, today
here?
I'm not feeling it either. But it is kind of strange that for people who work at home, right? Why does Mondays still feel like shit? You know, like there was a whole thing. It's like, it's not Mondays you hate, it's your job. And it's like, okay, well, I don't have a job. It's like, I don't have a job per se, you know? You want to hear something scary though? I freaked myself out this morning. Actually, I freaked myself out just like a couple of minutes ago.
Oh boy.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, okay. It's not that bad. It's been 7 years since I held a straight job.
Wow.
Yeah. I freaked myself out with my shitty math, but I just double checked it. It's like, no. It's not as bad as I thought. Yeah, it's been right. So the thing is, though, is that I don't have a straight job. I work from home. I do my comics, right? But why is Mondays such...
Because Monday puts us back on a schedule, I think. I think that's what it is. Because
I guess, yeah.
Friday we do a vlog, and then we may or may not get together and work in the background.
That's true, yeah.
Saturday I half-ass my days. Sundays I'm off. Like if you see anything on social media on a Sunday, it's just because I fucking felt like it. I don't get paid for that shit. I don't care.
Or you just scheduled it in advance.
Or I scheduled it in advance.
Yeah.
Monday mornings, that's a whole new ball game. It's back to the fucking grind. So
yeah, I guess so. Because you know what it is? I guess no matter how much like we're on our own schedule, technically we're on everybody else's schedule.
No, I'm on everyone's schedule.
Yeah,
I wish I had my own schedule. Because if I had my own schedule, I'd be like, motherfuckers, do not contact me before 8 a.m. and do not contact me after 8 p.m.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
That's not the world we live in. So now I'm like, hit me up as soon as you can, when you can. It's all about when you can, not when I can. And I think that's where some of the anxiety comes from in comics.
Yeah.
Because we do have to, like, I mean, we're working with people in different time zones even.
Yeah.
Do you want to start the fucking show?
Yeah, I guess we should, right?
We'll start the show. We'll talk some more about this in a minute.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It is December 4th, 2023, and this is the Ragin to the Vlogs. Yeah, you ready?
Absolutely not, but hit it.
Here we are live.
No, my math is fucked up. Hold on. Wait.
Oh, you got some fucked up math?
Yeah. It's been 10 years since I last held a straight job. And
but
now,
why are you calling it a straight job? Because now you're doing what you want to do.
Well, yeah, you know, that's true.
So look at it. It's been 10 years since you got your shit straight and could do what you want to do.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, technically it does. I don't know. It's like, because what it is that the job that I want to do isn't as consistent. And hey, Vess, and hello, Joseph. I'm Michael and Afraid. Hello,
and God, hello, everybody.
Oh wow, everybody's in the chat today. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess I use the term straight job just to refer to like an outside job, you know, like a regular job. Like, I don't know. It's, you know, it's a job that you kind of like feel obligated to go to pay your bills and whatnot I don't know. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That it's like,
we started early?
What?
Nick said we started early. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Nicholas.
I don't know.
I don't know. We just went live. Fuck, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. According to the timer, we were on time, so I don't know.
We just do what StreamYard tells us to fucking do.
Yeah. So it's like, so I was laid off in 2013. on a Friday the 13th in December.
Nice.
So technically, yeah, I'm almost on my 10th year. Holy shit, I really did this. You know, yeah, it was a Friday the 13th. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, and the thing is, it's like it took me a while to actually. I mean, I'm still kind of like honestly, I don't think I feel like I really like understood what I had to do until 2021. You know, so even though, yeah, so it's like, so even though it's like, I was kind of like, I don't know, almost flailing. I don't know. I got to look up these numbers. I just can't believe that it's that, yeah, I know. You know, I just can't believe, it's been that long. Because it's like, it just feels like that. Why does it feel like I'm trying to cram everything in these last couple of years? You know?
Because you just figured out how to work it.
Right.
Like you just had an epiphany like a couple years ago.
Right.
Like I should have been doing this.
Yeah, no. It had to be 20. Yeah, I really do think it's 2013 because 2017. And then yeah, that's about right. Ooh. Oh, now I really need a nap. Oh, now I really
so hard when this.
Yeah, I know. Today is definitely a nap day. It's so hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Ragin to the Vlogs show. Welcome everybody in the chat. Welcome everybody, my beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you're watching us from Facebook, if you're watching us from Twitter, come on over to YouTube. Join the sexy people in the chat. If you're especially watching us from Facebook, stars. I don't know, something about stars. I don't know.
Ignore that.
It's like I'm not sure if Facebook is still going to be in the habit of disconnecting randomly on us.
I don't know. It seems to be running really well now that Nita can make them money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, yes, no.
Yeah, it's a little bit differently for us, but on Twitter, we still can't read. We still can't read your comments. No. It's like even if you were to, it's like it doesn't allow us to read
my Twitter's dead. On Twitter. Like, I don't even care. You're talking to the dead, Daphne.
Right, stop talking to Twitter. So it's like so come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat. So before Efrain rings the bell. So I might as well just get this party started. Hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means?
Emotional damage.
I swear to God, I shouldn't have done that math. I shouldn't have done it. The pressure. I am known for my furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which returns to Kickstarter in 2024 with Tears of the Mother, the next story arc that directly follows the Thieves' Quest story arc, with a re-release of issues 1 through 5 and the brand new issue 6 from this 8-issue limited series. And I am also known for my medieval fantasy drama Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which also returns in 2024 with issue 8. We're going to be pretty much, I think, launching in February-ish. So issue 8 coming to Kickstarter out of a 15-issue series run. So yeah, oh my God. Like I said, it just feels like I'm just like trying to cram so much in so little time. In the meantime, you can read both my comics online at egoworks.com. That's EGOWORKS, and Tall Tales, TAILS online.com. And you can check out all my videos, all 500 plus videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. And to tell you more about it is Nita and her
Look.
stars.
Oh my God. Okay. So my name is Nita Lanning, and I am the owner of the Google account that runs the Indie Comics Network on YouTube, where we have indie comics and stuff. You can find us at indiecomicsnetwork.com. We're in the process of making a whole bunch of changes. We got some new shows coming in, some old shows going out, and apparently even more stuff I didn't even know about, because, you know, who needs to know about stuff that's happening on their own shit?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
like whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But where can they find you?
IndieComicsNetwork.com.
It.com. Cut.
Oh my goodness.
Hello, Glenn. Good morning, William.
Glenn. Hello, William. Yeah, so today's title is extremely accurate. Like I said, just so I guess it's like it just took me this long to really hone in as to what I needed to do. So you see, it just goes to show you that not all the best laid plans are the best plans to get laid.
Wow.
Because it took me that long. Like really, it's like, you know, yeah, it's like 2013 was when I was laid off, and it wasn't until 2021, 2021, that I really started to hyper focus on what I needed to do. Like really like understand what I needed to do. I don't know why it took me that long. Honestly, you would think that after all these years, it's like I would have been more clear in my intentions.
Well, sometimes everything has to be shut down and shut out.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest shutdown and shut out.
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like when the world went silent, my brain turned back on.
That's
like it really did.
What it is. It's
you
like,
had to come up with ways to entertain yourself. You had to figure out ways to promote yourself. You had to figure out new sources of income.
Right.
I mean, it was in that moment, it was a must, and everybody was doing it. So you were able to take pieces from here and there from what you were seeing others do, and put it all together.
Yeah, probably, you know, and also it's like, when it's like, you know, and it's like if anything could break a pattern, it was that.
Right.
You know, because honestly, I don't know if I would have really have gotten my shit together the way I did if it wasn't for that. Like it literally like from 2013 to to early 2020, there was just like, I don't know, there was already a set pattern that I was doing, that I was working on, but it wasn't what I needed to do.
Right.
I don't know. It just felt very, you know, flailing, I guess, or just like, I don't know. It's like, to tell you the truth, I can't even remember what I was doing.
Do you remember that moment where you were like, a light went off and it was like, oh, this is the direction?
Yeah. It was around, it was probably around March, you know, when we were just really, really getting into quarantine. Actually, everything kind of starts in a car ride with my sister. We were driving. It's like I had just done my first triple running event at Disney. I did a run Disney event. It was the Princess Challenge. I did a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon in one weekend.
Oh shit.
Yes, I'm very, very proud of that moment. And I would like to do it again. It's just kind of getting my ass into a pattern to actually train properly for it without hurting myself. But, you know, so I did that. We were driving to Miami, and it was when we were driving to Miami, like we kind of had, when we were driving from New York to Orlando, we kind of had a feeling something was going on.
Right.
You know, something was going on. My sister was working in bio research at the time, and she was getting like frontline shit. And even she didn't like she was just like seeing all this news come in, but it's like you know, it's kind of like, okay, something's
Still didn't
happening.
know what was coming.
Yeah, we didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I do the weekend. We have a good time. What was funny was that same weekend, yeah, was it that same
Yeah, we
weekend?
are.
Yeah, it's like, no, it wasn't the same. I'm confused. It was something else. But okay, so we, right. So I did my whole thing, and we went. Oh, she had the flu that weekend.
No
So
shit.
what happened was that we had, so pretty much, like I said, she worked in bioresearch. So she had a car full of masks and industrial medical wipes and the whole thing. We were wiping everything down. You know, it's like she just had, like I said, we didn't know what was going on. She had the flu and we had the wipes and the thing. So, like we even wiped down the entire hotel room, the entire weekend we were there. And so I never caught her cold. So at least that worked. So then we drive to Miami, and that's when we kind of like hearing it like building up, right? And then we spent some time in Miami, and then this was like the end of February, just going into March. And then from like in that 2 days that it took us to drive from Miami back to New York, it was like the world changed.
Exploded.
In those 2 days. By the time we got back to New York, there was already talk about everything going on lockdown and everything, right? And what was really funny was realizing that entire week, that entire like 2 weeks, that her wipes and her medical masks became the most valuable thing in the car.
Huh.
Like it like there was a point where it's like, while we were in Miami, it's like, kind of like tuck that stuff away. Cause that's kind of like it's like, cause you don't want people to see you have masks in your car.
Right.
So yeah, so by the time, and then it's like around the 15th, the Ides of March, actually, my favorite time of year. That's when I think that's when I went personally on lockdown. And I think that we went officially on lockdown on March 20th. And then it's like, then there was that stillness that happened. Right.
Right.
And it's like in that time, I found myself like filling up notebooks full of stuff. Just like getting all these ideas together. Actually, I remember the first thing that I started working on was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And I was just filling up I have this entire notebook that's completely full of notes and sketches and whatnot. I just have to go back and actually do something with it. And then, like, as the year went on, I started really working on Tall Tales again. And then it's like I don't know, maybe like around April or May, I started looking at Eager Raven and going, I really should finally do something with this. And that's when I started taking tutorial classes, tutorials on YouTube with how to color for comics. And I started really just absorbing that stuff and doing color tests. And so that by the time January 2021 came around, by then we were already somewhat familiar with Kickstarter, and and it's like, and I already had done 2 sketchbooks, right. Yeah. It's like, you just kind of like, okay, what was I doing and how do I expand on it? Right. And then, and then it's like, by the time January 2021 came in and I released the first issue of Eagle Raven, it's like, that's when it really clicked. This is what I have to be focusing on.
Right.
And yeah, so it's kind of like it kind of so yeah, it's that time between kind of like February 2020 to that January 2021 where it's like I really felt like my life got condensed, and it's like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, but up until then, I was just fucking around. And then this moment told me this is what you should be doing. And it's just been feeling like I've been trying to catch up ever since. You know, I mean, so it's like, yeah, so, oh, I don't like that math. I really don't. Oh my goodness. But that kind of wasn't what I wanted to talk about. You know, it's like that literally was a bathroom thought that went out of control.
But it works. Hey, it works.
But so for anybody and everybody who missed it, Jose had a special roundtable episode of Indie Comics Explained that he did on Saturday with Tyler Carpenter and Tony James. And they had a discussion about a tweet that Tony had put up about if Alan Moore was entering the comic scene now, he, you know, and doing a book on Kickstarter, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. He wouldn't be Alan Moore. He wouldn't be Alan Moore the way we know Alan Moore. He would just be Alan Moore with a small a, as opposed to Alan Moore with a capital A. You know, and the thing is, though, it's like, you know, just really quickly, it's like I had just said straight up, it's like, yeah, I agree. And it's like, it's not just because of Kickstarter, you know, that even now it's like I think that the mainstream comics industry is in such shambles that somebody like Alan Moore, he couldn't thrive in it either the way it is now. So it's like all the opportunities that he had in the industry, none of it exists anymore. So so regardless of Kickstarter or not, Alan Moore would not be Alan Moore if he was starting out today. But so if you missed that, it's in the playlist. You can go ahead and watch that, right? But so the overlapping conversation, which I don't want to get too deep into, because like I said, you can watch the show, which I think is the kind of like the definitive conversation, is the fact that Tony was saying how he felt, was that he felt that good storytelling, that good books are being or being like overwhelmed. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I try. It is being like overwhelmed by, I guess, like trendier books, I guess we could say. It's like, you know, in the end, it's like I really don't want to hyper focus too much. And you know, and it's like the thing is, right, is that, you know, I had mentioned that the Kickstarter algorithm, I think out of all the crowdfunding platforms, is very generous to the starter creator. You can literally start an audience on Kickstarter if you don't have one. I mean, I literally started with 14 people, you know, an audience is an audience, you know. And right now I kind of hovering it, you know, I started with my first solo campaign had 14 backers. My latest campaign topped at 233 backers. So, you know, and a lot of that is because Kickstarter is friendly to the is creator friendly. But Tony had mentioned something that it kind of like set off a light bulb, you know, because I go, hey, you know, wait a minute. So he had said that he felt that there's been a change in the Kickstarter algorithm recently, where certain types of books are being promoted over other creators, smaller creators or whatnot, but not even books with like huge audiences, but like very specific types of books. And I had to kind of stop and think about that because, you know, I've always talked about how you need to curate your experience, right? How important that is, you know, for your sanity, you know, and for everything else, right? So Facebook rather, it's like, yeah, it's like you start removing certain people and it changes your entire feed. It's like, oh, instead of, on Twitter, especially, oh, you mean instead of like muting 800 words, I just have to unfollow 5 people? Brilliant, and the feed changes almost immediately. I had mentioned how on Threads, it's like just making certain posts and liking certain posts completely changed the landscape of my thread feed, where it turns to all authors and everything. So, and then even on YouTube, right? It's very easy to curate your YouTube experience. It's very easy. It's like I'm constantly like I was, like talking about like, it's like, yeah, I used to listen to Joe Rogan. I used to watch him because I would watch him for the athletes. I would watch him for the long distance when they had the long distance runners like Courtney Daltwater on, but the problem is that that's not how. Where I saw Joe Rogan as a way to watch athletes talking and comedians talking, the YouTube algorithm just saw him as a right-wing shill. So every time I watched a Joe Rogan podcast, all of a sudden I had all these fucking weirdos in my feed. So what I had to do was every time I watched a Joe Rogan podcast, I had to delete it from my history. And then immediately the weirdos would disappear. It's like, if I'm like going through my creative, so my feed is mostly like creative stuff now, like tutorials and Artist Alley and all that. And even if I come across people I don't want to see, all I have to tell YouTube is not interested in this channel or do not recommend this channel. That's all I have to do. And again, the changes are immediate to my recommendations. You know what's funny where I haven't noticed that? On Kickstarter. For the last couple of months, I have been going out of my way to only click on fantasy romance novels. Like really, like really going out of my way to not click on certain books.
Right.
And I have yet to see anything change in my recommendations.
Same.
It's like it doesn't recommend me books, novels, unless I go looking for them. And unless I'm on a novel campaign, that's the only time it recommends me other novels. But once I'm off the main page and back, I guess, onto my dashboard, it's
the only time I'm seeing
like
similar
my feed looks like, let's just say my feed looks like a Victoria's Secret catalog.
Yeah, same.
And I'm like going, what the fuck? Why isn't this information changing? And then when Tony had mentioned that he was noticing something on his end, I was like, holy shit, it's not just me. Kickstarter is doing something. So I was there is something to the algorithm that they're fucking with on their end. And what's funny is that that's what I was afraid of, what was going to happen when Keanu Reeves came on the scene and everyone was saying, oh, Keanu's going to save comics. Keanu's going to save comics. And I go, no, what I'm afraid of is that Kickstarter is going to do what YouTube did and change their algorithm to only benefit large campaigns like that. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Like, okay, now we're just going to see the algorithm just give us like the top 10, the top most popular campaigns, and that's it. We're never going to see anybody else. Right? Well, it kind of happened, but not the way I thought it would. Right? Now, I could be just hallucinating this, but the fact that someone else had mentioned it means, okay, it's like, I can't be, imagining things that why is it that I can adjust the algorithm to benefit me on every other platform except Kickstarter? Right? So, Jose outright asks Tony, well, if you suspect this, have you written Kickstarter about it? And he kind of stopped and he goes, no, didn't think about it. And it's like, so I was like, going, you know what? I think I'm going to write an email to Kickstarter going, hey guys, I'm trying to find why is the algorithm not recommending books that I actually want to see, no matter what I do.
I kind of have a suspicion as to why they're doing that.
And it's not like I'm seeing other like independent comics. Like I said, I'm seeing a very specific type of independent comic. And
well, has anybody else noticed the fact that they're doing the whole pursue our stacks thing, where they want you to sign? It's something on Kickstarter that they're trying to get us to sign up for, to subscribe to where it goes based off of our selection and stuff. So I think maybe they knocked the algorithm back because they want us to sign up for that other mailing list.
I had no idea that.
Yeah, if you go on there, I'm not on there right now, but if you go on there, you'll find it usually pops up in a little black and white area, and it'll say pursue our stacks, sign up. I think it's I know it's Kickstarter reads. They're publishing in comics journalism newsletter. They want us to sign up for another mailing list.
Right. Weird. Okay. Because
I suspect that has something to do with it.
Right. Because it's like, because it's like I was telling Jose, it's like, it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to
the simple answer.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that it's not the ironic thing about it is that I actually rarely see Polito in my feed. It's usually all these other low tier books. And that's the thing. And it's not like, hey, when Neil Gaiman was running the highest funding comic Kickstarter, right? I wasn't really getting him in my feed either, and trust me, I think that they get a much bigger chunk out of Neil Gaiman, so that's the ironic thing. It's like, okay, so it's not that they're showing me really, really, it's like, it's like I probably do get Polito a little too much in my feed but then again, it's like I'm at a point where it's like, I don't want to look at these fucking books. Why do you keep showing me these books? Which kind of had me thinking too, that it's like, it's like, just like YouTube, I want the ability to manually adjust my feed. Right. Like I want to be able to click on Polito's, I'm not picking on him.
You can manually adjust your feed through our newsletter.
That I can click on a Polito campaign and say, do not recommend, or do not, do not, it's like, or ignore channel, ignore creator.
That would kind of be cool.
Because I can do that on YouTube. I could either click not interested or do not recommend channel. So why can't I do that on Kickstarter? Not interested, do not recommend creator.
I would like the option to just not recommend this book. Like to take it off.
Yeah, that's where not interested.
The book, just the not interested in that book.
That's where not interested.
I wouldn't want. There's not a creator I'd specifically want to mute. Well,
I have.
Well, no, there's two.
Yeah,
never mind.
There's I have plenty of creators that I would like. You know what? I don't need to see your shit in my feed. I'm never gonna buy it.
Right.
And it's like, and it's like, and the reason why, it's like I'm not picking on Polito, but the thing is, though, his is a book that I am completely. He is both a book and a creator I'm not interested in. Stop showing him in my feed. I am never going to buy one of his books. I am never going to support him. Why is he in my feed? Right? And I think what it boils down to as well is that Kickstarter does not have it doesn't have a tagging system at all. I wouldn't even say it's like it needs a robust one. It doesn't even have one. It's not like you can like put a tag on your book that literally says furry, that literally says fantasy.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you can't do that. You try to look up a fantasy book on Kickstarter and you're getting everything else but you're looking for what you're looking for, because it doesn't have that type of tagging system. So it would have to do that first in order for that to work, in order for that kind of manual thing to work. Because you go on a YouTube channel and you can put like 40 tags. You can really narrow down your niche, you know. On Kickstarter, it's like, okay, it's comics or graphic novels. Those are your choices.
Right.
You know, and it's like, how am I supposed to search for things? You know, it's like, because I'm not even sure if it goes by what's in your text on the campaign. You know, so it's like, you know, so what is it, you know, how, you know, it's like, yeah, so, you know, their search function is a little sus, you know, is that's not sus, it's just their algorithm is sus now, but like their search function is not exactly the greatest, right? You can't you can't, you know, tell it that it's like you're not interested in certain books. You know, you can't tell it that you're interested in certain books, like recommend more of this. You know, I mean, it's like you can't even do that. Like, even if you want, you know, so yeah, so it's like there's, yeah. So until Tony had mentioned that, I thought there was some, it's like, oh, it's not registering what I'm looking for. Why am I having such a hard time? You know, when everybody else, I can kind of like tweak the feed, you know? So yeah, so I thought that was just a strange thing. And it's like, yeah, and you know what? I'm probably going to, yeah, I'm going to make, you know, it's like, not probably, I'm going to write an email to Kickstarter going, hey, what's the deal with your algorithm? I'm finding it a lot harder to look for things or to be recommended things. Oh, that's him. Right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the parrot. You know, it's like I'm not being recommended the things that I'm interested in, you know, and it's like, what's going on? You know, what's going on? It's like, you know, it seemed easier before. What's going on now? You know, and I think that brings me to another thing too, where one of the reasons why I really, really didn't like utilizing Twitter was because that there was way too many people who thought that posting hot takes or whatever on Twitter was the extent of what they had to do. Like, you know, like, oh, it's like, you know, like,
well, for some of them, the ones who did it early on, it worked for them. It totally fucking did. It got them the attention they wanted and the negative audience or whatever, and it worked.
I don't know if it's like,
I don't want to name names, but there are a couple bigger names that worked for.
No, I'm talking more of the people who think that just because they post a question on Twitter about like, oh, well, how do we get ahead on Kickstarter? That's it. You know, that's where it stops. You know, like I keep talking about, you know, like, you know, going back to the show, it's like they're saying, it's like, oh, how do we, it's like Neil Gaiman obviously doesn't have like Kickstarter has proved that readers are on the site willing to spend money.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, because like I said, those books, they outshine the most mid, you know, I mean, like I said, without, you know, it's like, you know, those books don't dominate the way actual good books dominate.
Right.
It's just that you need an audience to really for that to function, for that to work. You know, in the end, Kickstarter values audiences. You know, it's like, are you going to have an audience that really supports your product on Kickstarter? Because the more you make, the more Kickstarter gets a cut of it. That's who they're going to prioritize. You know, although, yeah, their algorithm seems to be prioritizing, like I said, a certain genre of book that I am completely not interested in. When I'm interested, but not like this. You know? So we know for a fact the readers are on Kickstarter, but the question is, how do we get those readers to look in our direction? It's like I said, it's very easy for them to look at Neil Gaiman because Neil Gaiman is famous. He has a TV show, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, Brandon Sanderson, it's like he has a pedigree that everybody knows. If I buy a Brandon Sanderson book, I'm going to get a good book.
Right.
I've never read any of his books, so I don't know for sure, but whatever. I mean, that seems to
at
be
least the book the majority seems to care about.
Right. There's a consensus, My book, anybody else's book, you've never heard of. How do I know it's any good? It's like, who are you? That type of thing, right? So you need to build that audience. So so what it is that I keep hearing people say, it's like, how do we do that? Well, how do we get more readers? How do we get more readers? So my last campaign, I was looking at a lot of the romance novelists. It's like, look, I know I mentioned this before. I know it's a little tiring to hear, but the thing is, though, sometimes you do have to study outside of your niche or media or whatever to kind of see if there are different things that you can do to get eyeballs on you. So I'm looking at what the authors are doing. Okay, if the authors are raising X amount of money on Kickstarter, what are they doing to stand out? Again, these are people who can't use artwork, who don't use artwork. Their audience is not really interested in what artwork you have on your cover. It's like they have to read it. So they use very particular things. And it's like, okay, so I'm beginning to incorporate that type of graphic design into what I'm doing. Right. But then it's like people ask, oh, but does it work? Does it work? And I go, I don't know. Does it? It's like you have to actually do it to see if it works. It's like, so it just seems that, people are asking questions, but they're waiting for you to give them the answer, whether it's like yes or no. It's like, all I can do is offer suggestions. I can't tell you if it actually works or doesn't work. On my last campaign, I did so many things at the same time. I couldn't tell you what one particular thing, actually improved the campaign. I'm not going to probably know that until my next couple of campaigns. For all I know, the one thing that got me 233 people is the goddamn literal balls out pornography. And I'm not interested in continuing to do that until I feel like doing it again. Maybe like next year or something. But the thing is, though, with everything else, though, it's like, oh, will that work? I don't know. And I think that way too many people, that's what they're doing. They're bringing forth these questions. Well, how do we do this? How do we do that? Not necessarily to find out what their options are, but in the hopes that you can just tell them what they do and that's it. And that's been and that's kind of like been grating at me, especially, around this topic. Oh, how do we stand out? How do we get more readers? It's like, well, I don't know. The authors are doing this, and that. Oh, but does it translate to comics? I don't know. I'm trying it, It's like, but I can't tell you whether it will or it won't, And and like I said, it's like, and on Twitter especially, there was a lot of that. Where it's like people are just sitting there with their hands out. It's like, well, what works? It's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Do I just need another nap? Is that
well yes, but no.
Hey, because it's like, look, it's like, maybe looking at novelists is the completely wrong thing for me to do. You know, maybe it's like the people who read novels really are a completely different subset of consumer that doesn't translate to comics. You know, although I have to admit, I got 25 people opting in to the medieval unicorn Viking slut Sky of Thorns crossover. So I had 25 people who supported both campaigns to get the collab print. Now, granted, most of them were people that I already recognized.
Right.
You know, is that a bad thing? You know, it's like, okay, but I did see some new people, some names I didn't recognize. So it could be that more people went in one direction as opposed to the other, but we still have some kind of movement. Does it mean anything? I don't know. You know, it's like, but yeah,
we haven't done enough science.
Yeah, there's not enough data, you know, to base anything on. You know, so it's like, yeah, is it easier to get comic book people to buy novels than it is for people who collect novels to buy comics? Sure. You know, maybe. I mean, Neil Gaiman fans didn't have a problem with that. You know, it's so, I don't know. You know, because I would bet you for the amount of people who bought that Good Omens trade paperback, just as many were mostly knew him from his novels than they did from his comic book work.
Right.
What was it? 30,000? 30,000.
Yeah, it was a lot.
30,000 backers. Right? They can't all be comic book people. I mean, you know, Jose's been telling me these numbers recently where it's like a mainstream book is lucky if it makes 2,000 nowadays.
Right.
If it sells 2,000. And here Neil Gaiman is sitting on 30,000 backers. It's
I mean, you're talking about somebody that's got he's got novelists, he's got fucking comic book readers, he's got television fans.
Right.
I mean, dudes.
So
everywhere.
yeah, so I don't know. You know,
that's the next. He got his Netflix deal. Although I think it was Amazon Prime, but either way, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. So it's like, so it's like, I don't know. How do we cross over people? I don't know.
You got to be famous.
Well, yeah, we talked about that on the last episode. You know, but you know, on the level that we're at before, you know, mid and down, right? So it's like between every one of us who's making between $1,000 and $50,000 on Kickstarter, right? This is where a majority of people on Kickstarter are between 1,000 and 10,000.
Right.
That's where I think like 70 something % of all Kickstarters reside. Is around there. So which goes to show you that how few people actually rise to the top on that platform. You know, and you know, but the thing is, if you really want to go, you know, if you literally want to go mid down, it's like you have to look at 1,000 to 50,000. You know,
right?
You know, because 50,000 to 100,000. You know, it's like very, I think only like 200 creators make it above 100,000. Only 200 out of the 17. I think last it was last I looked, it was 17,000 creators that start off, that launch a campaign on Kickstarter, and then it like whittles down to like only 200 creators make it to 100,000 and above. Threaten their families. I don't know, Max. I don't know. That might not be a long-term solution.
I choose violence.
Yeah, might not be a good long-term solution. You know, you know, so yeah, so it's like I don't know. It's like it's kind of like, you know, maybe in the end we're just asking a question that has no answer to. That it's like, look, it all boils down to, do you have an audience, and that's it, you know? You know, But at the same time, though, it's like, you actually have to try something.
No, for sure. Don't
you
throw
actually
in the
have to
towel.
physically, you
Do
have
the
to.
work.
No. I'm not even talking about throwing in the towel. I'm talking about people who think that just sitting back and just, just trying to limit themselves to what works, as opposed to actually putting that skin in the game. Because it's like, look, I understand it. Everybody has a fear of failure, especially in this hyper sensitive, but because everybody's eyeballs are on each other's social media, environment, where it's like everything everybody wants to do has to be done in a way where you get it right the first time. We're very failure adverse. Because like, oh, if you fail, it's like, who the fuck are you, and blah, 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 and it's like, and I think it's, in the end, I mean, it's like, it depends on the context, but I'm talking in the context of comics, where it's like, look, this is a very specific thing that we're doing that, like I said, as ridiculous as this sound, we are producing a luxury item that nobody needs for survival.
Right.
So any failure that happens in comics, it should not be devastating. You should not be doing comics in a way where a failure in comics is devastating, because that means that you put shit on the line that had no business being on that line.
Yeah. Don't take out that second mortgage in that your house.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, weird shit like that, people who are very shitty with money,
Right.
Or whatever, it's like the people who would say that, oh, I have to do a Kickstarter to support, the whole poor shaming bullshit. It's like, honey, if you're actually poor, doing a comic is the last thing you should be worried about right now.
Right.
You have bigger problems. So, because there's this whole thing that it's like, oh, you have to be really privileged to be able to withstand failure and whatnot. And it's like, look, you have to be privileged enough to do a comic to begin with. I mean, there's a certain, it's like, either you're sacrificing your time, privileged enough to have time, to do everything yourself, or you have to be in a position where you can afford to pay out, to pay out people. I mean, either way, you have to be in a particular position, a particular privileged position, to be able to do these things. So when I say that that way too many people are too afraid of failure in order to just even try the most minimum, to try the minimum, is, it's like, look, you're doing comics, you really have to get over yourself. It's like, if doing something different is what you need to do to get more eyeballs on your stuff, that's what you do. If it works, it works, great. If it doesn't, yeah, there's a chance it might not work, but you won't know until you do it. But at the same time, too, not for nothing, there are certain things that I refuse to do. I will draw pornography the entire time, but don't ask me to do a fucking TikTok video.
Because I can't even. Please
hey,
don't.
Tyler.
Look, HR said get some cool, crazy move tunes and weird voiceovers that might get some attention. That's one thing I noticed. Like when people make their videos, I think it's much more creative.
Like I do like
a trailer.
That's what I was looking at. Like I was watching, again, novelist TikToks. And it's like, look, okay, we're not going to do skits. We're not going to do street beefs. Oh, really? I like that title, Street Beefs.
Me too.
Yeah. So, it's it's like because it's like, look, it's like I said, in the end, no matter what, the moral of the story is that you have to build your audience, you have to market yourself, to do it. And there's certain things you have to do, and you have to understand your limitations. And if you do have limitations, you have to work around them, and also accept the fact, because you're limiting yourself, that's going to affect your reach. Like I said, I'm not doing TikTok videos. It's like I don't have the energy for it. It's like, so what else can I do? What can I do instead? It's like, well, I could actually, I'd say I like doing trailers for my comics. I like doing those. I really did like doing like the video comic where I'm reading the comic out loud.
Right.
I mean, they're tedious to edit, but I do like the final result. And the fact that so many people can actually like it doesn't require me per se. It's like people are concentrating on the work, so they can decide then and there whether they want the work or not, because you're reading it to them. It's like I like those. So it's like, so yes.
I don't get the TikTok. 90% of them are this.
I've been seeing a lot of those too.
Or a bad green screen at that. Like,
it's like, no, I do like the skits, but but here's also a thing too that I notice a lot on novel TikTok that I don't really notice in comics on the comic side is that like, well, this is mostly readers though, but I've seen the authors. Yeah. So a preview instead of a commercial, but do both. That's kind of like what I do. Where there's like these TikToks where like even the authors, like they go, oh, like they have no problem comparing their books to other books. They have no problem doing that. It's like, you do that to a comic book person and they get all icky and shit because they're all precious about their stuff, right? It's like, oh, how dare you say that my thing is like Batman but different, even though it's like Batman but different. It's much more different than Batman.
Oh yeah,
but you go to the book to the authors and they go, do you like Batman? But you want something different, but it still kind of reminds you of Batman? Try out my novel, or whatever. It's like they're very happy to make those comparisons, because what they're doing is that like a person who's into a niche is really into that niche.
Right.
They're going to collect everything. It's like, look, it's like, the idea being that if you like superheroes, you're gonna be more likely to collect other superhero books. Not you see, because also because the thing is too, the thing that really bothered me was this idea with a lot of this. Oh, also maybe the people who buy your book are not on TikTok. That's true. You just got to go where the people are, which takes time and research. It's true. That's
and I've seen TikTok. I don't even want the people over on TikTok.
No, because it's like because what I did was I started really utilizing the community tab on my YouTube channel.
Right.
So I figured, okay, if I'm not gonna bother with Twitter anymore, where can I also post like kind of like this really short form?
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
And it's like, oh, wait a minute. YouTube. If YouTube is where I have technically my technically an audience that I feel is engaged with my work, then why not post to the community tab and try to build that up? I'm not sure if it sends stuff out directly to people, but it does show up in their feed. So it's something. But yeah, it's like you have to find where your audience is and go to where they are. I know that book talk is a thing, so that's probably why they spend so much time on TikTok. But like I said, I won't do it. I won't do it. So I have to accept the limitation of that. I'll work on YouTube. I'll work on Facebook. Threads, I kind of lost patience with, so I'm not convinced of
and
that.
really, because Threads is just now starting to pick up for me, like just
right.
now.
Oh yeah.
Like I finally started seeing some kind of engagement, and it's still low, but it's there. It's like, okay, so how can I warm this up some more?
Right. You know, but yeah, but then, you know, so yeah, so I think that it's like, so one, I think that too many people are asking for advice, but they only want the advice that'll work. But the problem is that everyone kind of has a unique situation. Not really, but you know, depending on what kind, it all depends on what kind of book and where your audience is, and like the variables change. The advice is the same, but the variables change depending on how you utilize it. So there is no way to tell me this will definitely work. Like something very specific to you. Like when Tyler recommends, like he told me this book will work. Poof. This book will work. 1 hour. This work. Yes, it does work. But it only works if you take that information and individually cater it to what you need it to do. Which requires a lot of self-reflection.
You mean I don't just have to read it and I'm going to make $1 million?
Right, exactly. That's not how it works. Right. Dang. There was one thing that I was kind of building to, and of course it's like completely brain farted out my ears. But yeah, it's like, so yeah, so my goal for today is to write Kickstarter about their sus algorithm. And yeah, and it's like, look, you know, if you're gonna ask for advice, asking is not the work.
Right.
Maybe that was the point I was trying to make. Asking for advice is not the work. Acting on the advice is the work.
Applying this would be.
Applying the advice is the work, you know, and you can't just sit back and wait for, you know, it's like, you know, but you can't just do it in the hopes that it'll work straight off the bat, because applying the advice comes with the risk that it might not work.
Right.
For you. You know, and that's something that you have to kind of work past. You know, it's like if you know that certain books have an advantage that you're not willing to take, then you have to work around that.
Right.
You know, and you have to adjust accordingly, but you can't expect the same results. You know, so yeah, so it's like, yeah, so asking for advice is not the work. Implementing the advice is the work. You know, it's yeah, there was, man, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna remember after we go off the air.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know, so yeah, I need a nap. I really do. You know, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. You know, it's like, yeah, look, everybody, it's like, watch Jose's show with Tyler and Tony on Saturday. Get the full dialogue there. And yeah, but you know what, in the end it all boils down to no matter what no matter what was being argued, no matter what you feel about certain books or whatever, it all boils down to, do you have an audience to do this? You have to build an audience to do this. You know, it's like Kickstarter, like I said, is very generous. People that ask for advice but just argue why it won't work for them are the worst. Yes, they are. Don't ask me then. No, it's true. Because in the end, what they're asking for is validation as to why they're going to fail. You know, they want validation as to why they're going to fail, not advice that tells them, like, well, yeah, you might, but it might work as well.
Right.
You know, it's like, I don't know why they do that. It's like, no, you're not going to get validation. It's like, look, if you know,
thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Yes, he's asking everybody to smash that like button. The moral of the story, though, is that you need an audience. You need to build an audience. Kickstarter is the easiest platform to do it on, and but you still need to do the work to build that audience. Doesn't matter what, you know. In the end, this is where it doesn't matter what your book is and what you're offering. If you have an audience to support it, They will come. I mean, I was telling Nita about this. I was telling Nita about this book. It's literally a woman who did a comic strip book based on her pregnancy. And
it blew up.
She raised $14,000 on Kickstarter, 300 backers. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, look, because she has an audience that she built for the last 20 years, because she was one of the people that we printed when we were print brokering. So we kind of, we were familiar with her from the very beginning, and even then when we were printing her, she had an audience. So yeah, it's the long game, and nothing, there is no shortcut. Bottom line, audience, and you just need to do the work to actually get them, no matter what, and realize that when you decide not to do things, that also has a consequence as well. So you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm more worried about salmon, taking care of sick kids, and a nap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like, why salmon?
Isn't that horrible? Because for some reason that's what I'm craving.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. It's healthy, I guess.
Unless not when I'm done with it.
Well, that's true. You fry it up.
No, seriously, I'm going to try to find an alternative because I really want some pan-seared in olive oil with the crispy skin. But like, I don't want all the oil either, so I think I'm just going to bake a slab and yeah.
Right. Okay. So there you go. So maybe we're all just hungry too. Maybe that's just
I'm hangry.
We're
tired.
Yeah.
It was a fucking long ass anxiety-ridden weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just
right. So that's it for us. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat for joining us. Thank you so much to my beautiful eyeball people for watching us from regions beyond. Thank you so much for joining us for this very babbly hour. I don't know. Like I said, I'm tired.
They stayed.
Yeah, they did, and we thank you so much for that. You can, if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my upcoming campaigns and all that fun stuff, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates, and YouTube. Here on YouTube, because where else would YouTube be, for all my videos on how I make my comics, and you can join me for my semi-weekly art live streams on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Most likely I will have a show this Wednesday, so join me at 4 p.m. where it's just 2 hours of me drawing and babbling about stuff. Whatever the chat wants to talk about, I usually talk about it. So it's a lot more free form than here, if you can believe that. And remember that you can also read Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILSonline.com. And not only can you read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free, you can catch up on the latest story arc, Tears of the Mother, before it even reaches Kickstarter next year. This is also currently uploading Monday through Friday. So catch up on both my comics for free. It's like a no risk required on your part before the campaigns launch in 2024 as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, not talk about it. No, you do not talk about the work. You do the work. You have to do the work because it's worth it. It's like, because when you do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments, and it's worth every minute. So it's that easy, people. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Good night.